So let's start with this. Who are you playing in the captain spot, Geoff? Cooper Kupp, by far your priciest option at 18K. That would be cheap.
That would be cheap. I would like that. Maybe just for me and everyone else. But I'm going to go with the guy who I'm basically just going to be the whole segment for me. I'm going to talk about George Kittle here. 11,700, basically $7,000 cheaper than Cooper Kupp in the captain spot. This is a player who's averaged 97 yards and 0.66 touchdowns against the Rams in the last 3 meetings with the Rams. So player's averaged 9.5 targets over his last 3 games. You're seeing the target share shift back to Kittle here. I know Deebo Samuel has just been the man there in San Francisco, and he's fine here, but you look at how the Rams are set up. They've got those great outside corners. Jalen Ramsey probably going to put a cap on Deebo Samuel's ceiling tonight. You attack the Rams down the middle. George Kittle can do that. He's always beat up the Rams throughout his career. You've also got a spot where the 49ers probably going to be throwing it 35, 40 times because they're underdogs here, and they threw it 40 times against a better opponent last week. So love the spot for Kittle. I think you're getting very similar ceiling to Kupp here with him tonight.
Yeah, last game out had 24.1 fantasy points. What do you think, Pearce? Who are you going to play in the captain spot?
Jeff staying on brand, talking about a tight end in a showdown. So at least it's a good tight end for once. I will go to the best player in the slate and play Cooper Kupp and not really worry about it. I'll find the savings somewhere. You can always find savings on a showdown slate as long as you get the cheap guy that finds his way into the end zone. We know Cooper Kupp is destroying the season this year. And you look at his props, they're through the roof. He's almost projected to get 100 receiving yards. All the projection sites all weekend had him as the number 1 play. I know the Rams were down last week, but as we mentioned earlier, the Tennessee pass rush was pretty good and they caused some problems. San Francisco does not have a good pass rush. Matt Stafford's going to have plenty of time to pass the ball, and he's going to throw the ball a ton to Kupp like he always does, and probably even more so than usual with Robert Woods out. I'm not going to overthink it. Just play Kupp.
Kenny, what do you think? Are you going to overthink it, or are you just going with Cooper Kupp?
I am going to overthink it. That's what I do in my life, Jesse. I'm going to take Tyler Higbee, a captain, at $9,300. I know everyone's going to flock to Cooper Kupp, and I can't really fault people for doing that. But, Tyler Higbee is 10th in red zone targets this year in the NFL. I think that he's going to see look, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp were right up there in the top 3 in red zone targets as well. I think that he's actually going to see some of those red zone targets that were going to Robert Woods. I don't know if Odell Beckham really immediately gets all those throws around the goal line. I think that Tyler Higbee has a very good chance of scoring a touchdown here. And I think that he's going to be very targeted by Matthew Stafford, who was relying on him before this injury to Robert Woods. And now again, Robert Woods, where does he really hurt you, right? If you're a defense, he hurts you in the deep yardage situations. How are the short yardage situations? How are the Rams going to fill the void? I think it's going to be with someone short, throws over the middle. I think that's Tyler Higbee on maybe some gadget plays, some tight end screens. I think that they get him very involved here, and he also scores a touchdown with all those red zone targets.
All right, Pearce, let's talk value. Where is it for this showdown contest?
I'm going to go with Van Jefferson. I am tempted to talk about some of these cheap Rams wide receivers, but we don't really know who they are. J.J. Koski, Ben Scour. Who are these guys? I don't know. They might get in there. They're going to save you money. Maybe they get you a miracle touchdown. I wouldn't completely rule them out, but I'm not going to recommend them. I would take Van Jefferson. He's been on the field basically every snap. He's running a ton of routes. He should get more targets with Robert Woods not playing. I doubt Odell Beckham's going to be much of a presence in this game. He provides a pretty safe floor. His probability of finding the end zone is a lot higher. You want to chase one of those wide receivers that are cheap, go ahead. I think it'll help you afford Cooper Kupp, but I feel much safer with Van Jefferson.
All right, Kenny, what do we think? Where's the value?
It looks like Skowronek was the only guy that saw the field in week 9. So, maybe he's the guy you look for. But, yeah, I do think that Van Jefferson's my guy at $5,400. I really just don't think there's anyone else worth talking about here. I will throw in the fact that that he has 4 career touchdowns, and 2 of them have come on primetime. He's played 8 primetime games. He actually averages the most yards per target, nearly 10 yards per target on primetime. For whatever reason, they love throwing to this guy when it's dark outside. I don't know. You look for any edge you can get, right, with DFS. But no, I think Van Jefferson here is a very trustworthy guy for Matthew Stafford. He's very talented, and I think that is ultimately, with Tyler Higbee, the guy that they continue to throw the football to. Again, I agree with Pearce. I don't think that Odell Beckham has a giant impact in this game. He might make a couple nice plays, but in terms of getting targets fed to you, he's not going to be peppered all game long with targets. I think it's going to take a game or 2 to get him worked into this offense.
All right, Geoff, your pick for your captain spot was some value, but can you find us some more here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one strategy for Showdown tonight is, well, everyone's going to play Cooper Kupp and they're also looking to Van Jefferson for value. what does that tell you? Everyone's targeting the passing game. If you go to the rushing game, Sony Michel has 8 red zone touches over his last 2 games. He's actually out-touched Darrell Henderson in the red zone. He's got 9 carries. This seems to be Sony Michel getting some trust here from Sean McVay. He's also got 2 or more catches in each of his last 2 games as well. I don't know if we're going to see like a huge flip here where he all of a sudden takes over, but clearly McVay likes what he's doing in the red zone because he's giving him touches there. And again, if everyone's going to the passing game here, maybe use both LA Rams running backs. This is not a good San Francisco rush defense, 4.4 yards per carry against. They're definitely weaker on the ground than they are against the pass, or they have been all year. So I think Sony Michel is very much in play here. Again, everyone's flocking to Van Jefferson, and I get it. I mean, it makes sense. I'm not saying he's terrible, but we're talking about crowd mentality here with the big field GPP ownerships. Sony Michel is probably going to come in well under owned. So I do like looking to him for value, especially when you're making tournament lineups.
All right, Kenny, which way are you leaning on the game total here? We going over or under this 50-point total? I mean, this has climbed considerably since the early look opened at 46.5.
Yeah, this is a tough one to take because it is so high, but I think I'm still going to take the over. You know, when you look at these teams in terms of pace, they're right in the middle of the NFL. So you'd think, okay, well, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's not that good. The Niners, I have issues with their offense. 50 points, that's a little high, especially against a good defense. But what we know about the pace here is that they're actually flipped. The Niners rank 6th in seconds per play in the first half of games. The Rams have been dreadfully slow in the first half of games, and then the complete opposites happen in the second half. The Niners have slowed things down. The Rams rank near the top 10 in pace. So I actually think that what we'll see here is the Rams jump out to a lead. The Niners won't be afforded the luxury of running the football in the second half. I do think that this game ultimately makes it over 50 points, despite the fact that I love this Rams defense. Look, the Rams offense should put up like 30 points here. So I think that should make it pretty easy for us to take the over.
Jeff, for what it's worth, the under is 6-2 in their last 8 meetings in San Francisco.
Yeah. Oh, man. I really want to make the switch here to like becoming the under guy because I do feel like we're heading into that part of the season where we got to start targeting unders with more frequency, but I just can't do it in this game. All things considered here, I think this is just a spot where the Rams kind of come in and their passing offense takes over. And I think they try to make a splash with the new acquisition in Odell Beckham too. And I think that just leads to this game being a little bit quicker than we think. Kenny went over some good pace stats as well. You know, all things considered, the San Francisco 49ers last week against Arizona, they put up 48 points. That game could have easily hit the over there. With one more play at the end. And I feel like with how fast the Rams have been playing this year, I think you'll see a similar game just with a few more points. So at 50, I'm going to lean over here. Obviously, as you can tell by me talking, it's not my strongest play of the board, but I do like the over in this one. We'll switch to the unders in week 11 and make Pearce happy.
All right, Pearce, are you going to take the under here? The under is 3-1-1 in the Rams' last 5 games overall.
Yeah, I'll take the under in this game. I don't believe in this San Francisco offense very much. I know the running game is pretty good, but I think their running game is not going to get a chance to get going. They're going to play from behind, and they'll pass, and they'll probably get some yards by the end of the game. But I don't think they're going to find the end zone. And I think if they do move the ball downfield, they'll probably settle for field goals against this defense. I know the metrics say San Francisco is pretty good, but you look at it, they're just kind of average to maybe above average, and they're facing a pretty good defense in the Rams. And I think the game script's going to go against them. I know that they've gone over in their last 3 games, but those numbers have been really low. The Sportsbook has raised it up to 50. I just don't see San Francisco getting there. Yeah, maybe the Rams pile on a bunch of points and San Francisco gets enough on the back end, but I'm going to lean towards the under just because I don't believe in this offense.
All right, what's your favorite player prop available, Jeff?
Yeah, again, we'll go back to George Kittle after not talking about him here for a couple seconds. But I look at George Kittle's receiving yards prop, and it's up to 59.5. I think it was at about 57.5. So people obviously starting to look and realize this might be a little low. It's a player who's averaged 74 yards over the last 3 years in games that he started. So right off the bat, I mean, we're getting a pretty good number just on a good player with good yards after the catch potential. And then, you know, I already brought up his record against the Rams here, but I think the biggest thing is here, the game flow situation should be one where we see, you know, San Francisco pass at least 32 plus times per game. They passed 40 times per game against Arizona, another strong opponent. Kittle getting 9.5 targets, like I mentioned, over his last 3 games. It just all adds up to me. This prop is just a little bit too low. It's one you should 100% be leaning over on, and I'll do that. Go over 59.5 receiving yards for George Kittle.
Yeah, he's averaged 92.3 yards per game in his 7 career matchups with Los Angeles. Where do you want to go with your player prop, Pearce?
I'll piggyback off of what Geoff has said and give me Jimmy Garoppolo at over 250.5 passing yards. San Francisco has a good rush attack. They're going to want to run the ball, but as we mentioned before, I think the game script's going to go against them, and they're going to end up passing, which they've done the last couple games. Garoppolo's gone for over 300 yards in each of the last 2 games with over a 100 quarterback rating. Having Kittle back has fundamentally changed this offense. They can pass. And if they want to pass, they can pass. I think they're going to be forced to pass. 250 is a pretty low number. I know the Rams have a good defense, but once the Rams get ahead, they usually do force their opponents to pass more. And we've seen guys like Davis Mills get plenty of passing yards against this team in garbage time, or at least when they're trailing. So I will take over 250.5 by Jimmy Garoppolo.
Slate Approved Pick Time. What is your favorite bet on the board, Pearce?
We take the Rams and lay the points. I think this is an overreaction. They lost last week to the best record in the AFC, and even in doing so, they only allowed 2 scoring drives to the Titans. 2 of those touchdowns were basically pick sixes. This defense is really good, and they're facing an offense that's really not that good. This line is way too low. The Rams could win this game by double digits.
Kenny, favorite bet on the board?
I agree with Pearce. I think we see a similar scenario with the Chiefs coming back to life against the Raiders. I think the Rams reassert themselves as Super Bowl favorites here. They come out, they dominate the Niners. Top 5 defense in terms of DVOA, absolutely suffocates Jimmy Garoppolo. George Kittle doesn't even get a chance to run a route. I think that the Rams run away with this one. I'm laying the points.
All right, Geoff, favorite bet on the board?
Wow. Okay. I guess Kenny's just coming with those knives today. All right. Well, I'll let these guys handle the game lines and stuff like that. I like it. I mean, I do think the Rams probably going to win here big. But let's go to the player parlay board. I mentioned George Kittle. If you want to go big on this play tonight, you can, and I think you're getting good odds to do it. George Kittle under player parlays, 120 to go over 125 receiving yards and to score a touchdown, plus 1,400 here. Kittle's gone over 125 yards 3 times in his last 27 games, so we know that's possible. I think the game situation is ripe. He always beats up on the Rams, like I said. Plus 1,400.